When using React, you might be tempted to do something like what you see right here, where basically, say when a user subscribes, you want to show them some sort of like toast message or an alert saying they have subscribed. So you might create a useEffect hook in which when the is subscribed state changes, you check if is subscribed is truthy, you set this to you have successfully subscribed. And this is fairly common code to see, or at least see code like this. Basically, you track some sort of like user event with the useEffect and then do some other action with it. And here you can also see we use local storage to set an item when the is subscribed changes here as well. So if we go to the running application, if I click subscribe, you see, okay, you have successfully subscribed, which can make this even more tempting to use because it sort of works when you start using it. But if I click OK, and then you see our subscribed content, so we could go to exclusive content here and see the exclusive content because you're subscribed now. But if we come back to the page, they are still subscribed. So this useEffect is going to run if is subscribed is going to be true because they're still subscribed at this point, and we stored in local storage, which might be what you want to do, where you might store this probably in a database actually, but we're just using local storage for this. But is subscribed is still true, so it's probably going to alert again here, which is probably not what you want. So if I just go back, you see that it alerts right away, you have successfully subscribed. And it even shows it again here because it renders a couple of times. This is definitely not what you want. You probably only want it to show this subscribed message when they actually click subscribe. And that is kind of the root of the mistake here. You never want to use a useEffect to just track a user event. And a key point here from the React docs is that when you're not sure whether some code should run in an effect or an event handler, so whether it should be in a useEffect or like an on click, on hover, on change, something like that, ask yourself why this code needs to run. UseEffects are only for code that should run because the component was displayed to the user, not because the user performed some sort of action. So do we want to save this to local storage and alert the user because this component renders? Or do we only want to do this when this user actually subscribes? Well, I kind of answered it for you. We only want to do it on the user action when the user actually subscribes. Because as you can see, we get several issues with trying to do it this way. Even if I just refresh, we get the message again, not the actual user experience that we want. So a much better way to do this is going to be if I just move this local storage into my handle subscribe, which my handle subscribe is going to be right here. When they click subscribe, we're going to call this event handler. And then we will also do it right here. But instead of just passing in it is subscribed, we'll pass in true when they do subscribe and false when they unsubscribe. And then here we can move this alert to here as well. Just right in their handle subscribe. We can get rid of this useEffect altogether. And then I'll refresh for good measure here. But now if I subscribe, you see, okay, you have successfully subscribed. That's okay. And if I go to exclusive content and I come back, you see we don't run into the issue of showing it multiple times now. This looks good. If I refresh, we don't show it again. We can still unsubscribe. That's totally fine. I refresh. Everything looks good. We still get the alert. And this is just a much better user experience here. And it is much simpler code. We get rid of that useEffect altogether, and we just put our logic in our event handlers instead of basically tracking an event with the useEffect. So just remember, if you're going to want to run some code because of a user action, just make sure that that code is in a event handler function rather than in a useEffect. And if you find yourself using a useEffect for code that could be written in an event handler, that's probably a mistake, and it can lead to bugs and just generally more complex code. So I hope this video helps. I hope it kind of makes it more clear when you should use effects and when you shouldn't use them. And I'll see you in that next one.